Hello, hello. Welcome back to the North. In this video, we are going to discuss how to grow out a discus properly, what you need, what that involves, and why it's a little different than all the other fish. So basically, the number one thing that you need to focus on for growing out discus is clean water. Anything that's fouled about the water will stress out their systems and slow them down. That's generally it. It's generally it. But there's a couple other things you want to consider. If you have a small group of discus, say you've only got 5 or 6, and they're young, more so when they're in the juvenile age, which is probably a little smaller than this guy here, somewhere between these two. What you're going to get is you can get a dominant fish, or maybe 2, and they're going to harass all the other fish and keep them scared, keep them uptight, and when it comes to feeding time, you're going to get a couple of your other fish that generally just don't get enough to eat. And that's because you don't have enough fish, pretty much, while you're growing them out. If you've got fish that are less than 2 years old, you want to, as quickly as you can, get your tank up to 10 or 12 discus. That's really where you need to be. If you don't have about 10 or 12 of them, you're going to get fights. If you've got less than 10, even 8, you can see what's going on over here. He's being dominant, because he's at that age. And but there's too many targets for him to just do it to everyone. So it's more of a get away from the food, and he leaves everyone alone. But he would be a dominant fish if he was in a tank with just 4 or 5 discus. And he would keep the other ones so stressed out that they wouldn't do well. So pecking order management matters. You'll hear a lot of people say you got to keep discus all the same size in the same tank. That's not true. It's not true. It really isn't. It's only true if you're going to have 3 or 4 of them. I often put a small 3-incher in with all my big discus, and the 3-incher never has a problem. It always eats well. It can always get food, and it just always does good. So you might notice I had to take this out of the tank because they were smashing into it. So when they're eating, they get a little aggressive and they were smashing into it. So it didn't last long inside the tank, but I keep it here so we can see what Jose sent us. But yeah, my little ones never have trouble growing when I put them in with my big ones. I could probably put 2-inch discus in this tank and they'll do fine. I could probably put a number of them in here and they would do fine. And they would, they'd even feel better because they would feel like they have protection. So it's really a numbers game. And it's like that for all fish, all cichlids, like if they're a shoaling fish, you need a considerable number of them for them to behave properly, to start acting peacefully like this. So everyone will say, well, that's overstocking. Yeah, but if you stock the way they tell you to, you get other problems. So just heavy filtration, very clean water, and run UV, because bacteria in your water column, that's the other thing that'll stunt your fish very quickly. And you don't see it. You don't know it's there. And then, 2 years later, you've got a 4-inch discus, and you don't look very nice. Stunted discus is just not what you want. So if you're not willing to jump through all the hoops to grow them right, then buy the adults, because then you don't have to worry about the consequences. Because stunting a discus, if you do it too badly, it kills them. They don't have a long life either. They'll die sooner. If you do it right, you got fish that'll be with you for 10, 15 years. If you don't do it right, they'll barely last a year. The stunting can kill them within a year if it's continuous and it goes on too long. The first 15 months of a discus life is all to skeletal growth. And that's a timer that does not change. So if you screw up in that 15 months, say you screw up for 5 or 6 of them, your discus is half as big as it should have been. It's going to have a huge eyeball and a small body, and it's going to end up, the organs inside it will be huge. The skeletal structure will be too small to hold them all. If it's too bad in the brain casing, then they get encephalitis and they just die. So the brain grows and the skull doesn't. And then there's, just not enough room for the brain. That's probably a massive headache, and then till you die. So that's what happens with humans that have it. It's not fun. It's a horrible way to exist. So it's very important to grow out your fish properly. And in order to do that, that's why you'll hear people bare bottom tanks, change the water every day. But the bare bottom tanks and changing water every day is because they're fighting bacteria. That's what they're fighting. And when you do that, it's easier to combat the bacteria, and the bacteria slows them down. Or you can have plants, and you can have gravel, and you can have all the stuff and make your tank look beautiful, which makes them happier and helps them grow faster. And you just run solid UV. Run lots of UV to kill all of the biology in the water column. Then their gills stay clean. They don't have bacteria working on their gills. They don't have anything slowing down their immune systems. And they grow, and they grow fast. They grow very well and quite beautifully. So it's all in the water. It really is. And if you're not willing to jump through all those hoops to keep your water, a little better than you do for the rest of your fish, then you're going to end up with small discus, and you're basically going to fail. You're going to end up with deaths. That's just how it is. It doesn't take a lot more work, but you do have to keep that bacteria out of that water column. That's all there is to it. And anyone who believes otherwise has stunted fish. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.